Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Life Pod. Today we have on Jeffrey Morgan, ex-bank robber and now seven-figure businessman. Thank you very, very much for making your way down to Melbourne, having us on board, having us in this beautiful space of yours very late at night. Thank you very much. We do appreciate it, man. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us.
Mate, it's a pleasure to see people that are passionate enough to come through at night. When I first had a conversation with yourself, I said I'd be back and I'd be back late. And you said, yeah, no problem. So love people like yourselves going out, getting it, and I hope that you get everything that you aim for within your life.
That means a lot, man. Thank you so much. It's like, yeah, we don't think we're above anyone else, but it's like sort of just like-minded people just understand it. Like we just clicked as like hustler type thing, and you just understand like, cool,
what
that's what has to be done. Yeah, you just understand what has to be done, and it's 10 o'clock at night, 2 a.m., whatever it might be. If the job's not done, or you have a goal set and you know what needs to be done, or there's a deadline for something, it has to happen, and that's really the only outcome.
Power tips from the get go, and it's from them, not me. And I back that up 100%. Like go out and get it, be relentless around it. And we spoke about your business before and having that relentless in it. I just watched Jeff Bezos, and his first title before Amazon was Relentless.
Wow.
He named his business Relentless because he wanted to have that mentality around it. So the same thing you just spoke about, have that. I've had it. You've spoken about it. He obviously has it. And those that are out in that field and wanting more out of life, each to their own in this world. It's a free world. Do what you want. But if that's what you want, go and chase it hard.
And I think even based on what you're wearing and like what we spoke about earlier, there is words have a lot of meaning behind them, and I feel like that's something we're big on.
Huge. Love that.
Yeah, even like warrior, rival, relentless, all these things have meaning behind them, and it's like we use it to their advantage to actually strive for what that word actually means, rather than just being a word.
Absolutely.
If that means like it carries weight. I feel like that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
totally. What you tell yourself, you become. And I always say that to people, make sure you tell yourself and treat yourself right, because what would you want from a partner? Whoever you're into and whatever sex you're into, not my business. But in the end, what would you want from that person? And if you're not getting that and giving that to yourself, why not? Ask yourself that question, and that's something that a lot of people don't do. They'll just go out and say, he's attractive, she's attractive.
Yeah.
Love this, how good's this? And all of a sudden, they get treated badly. And hence why we even had the word primal. And then warrior, what does that mean? And what's the true sense of that in the modern day version? And that's one of the most important things. A lot of people don't live up to that version of the warrior that they want to be. And that could be male or female. What do you want out of this life? You're going to have to stand up for that, pretend you're in that Colosseum and show up to every single day.
It's almost a form of, when you say the words and you envision all of that, it's practically a form of manifestation and, knowing what you want, picturing it, saying those right things. And, we've touched on a lot on manifestation in previous episodes and how powerful that is as well. Like you were saying, picture the partner you want, know the lifestyle you want and all that sort of stuff. And
it's huge.
And get it. Massive.
18, I wrote out something. I was in a young offenders program, first time in jail, and I'm doing 12 months at that point in time. I go out to a prison camp and I write out some stuff. I'm destructive, I'm toxic, I'm dysfunctional, I'm violent, you name it, I'm it. And I go back probably a year ago now, and I went back and spoke at that prison. The governor said, could you come back and speak to these lads? I've heard you on a podcast, I'd love to have you here. I go back, I chat to the lads, and as I'm chatting, or before the chat actually, he comes up, he says, this is yours. And I said, what's this? And I grab it, and I can recognise my writing. My writing is very unique. I'm like, what did I write here? And I had a look at everything I'd written out. My partner's sitting right beside us, she'll tell you this. Every single thing I'd written out came to life. At the most the most toxic point of my life.
The darkest point of your life almost.
It still came to life. So you've got to imagine, if I can achieve that at that point, what could you achieve when you're built better? Probably the best way of putting it. And most importantly, in that conversation, the only thing I didn't do was I said sports science. I ended up doing nutrition science, but saying I was in that field, wanting to be better for myself. What could you achieve if you actually wrote that out? And recently, same thing, I manifested. I was seeing all these numbers, and I'm saying they're positives, 888, 777. I'm reading it out to Sal, and Sal's like, what's with the numbers lately? Anyway, we get to Athens airport, and for us, we're just sitting there. I get this phone call, and all of a sudden, I've won this major prize. And that major prize, I felt like I almost manifested that by just looking at, look at that boost, 777, look at that, 888. And it might have meant she was probably saying, what are you talking about? about. But, I'm talking about angel numbers. I'm looking it up. What's that mean?
Numerology is a big thing, man.
I'm literally connecting to it. And I felt like the whole trip, I was just, people were messaging you, hey, can you come and talk here? Can you do this there? And I'm like, this is real. I'm in this zone. I felt like I was in this, just playing some sport, Michael Jordan, and every shot I make is going in, not even touching the sides. And all of a sudden, we get to the airport and I win this major prize. And I'm looking at her and I'm saying, mate, I felt like I just manifested that. And my mate today said, do you know stuff about numerology and angel numbers? And he goes, mate, this is your year. If you won that, then you're in this zone.
Yep.
And it's just a belief that you create for yourself around your thoughts, your behaviours, your beliefs that create the actions, feelings and emotions that you want within your life. So step into that every single day. You create that. Feed yourself well.
I could not agree more. And again, it's a massive cliche and everybody says it, and you might see it on social media, and they say, if you're not going to believe in you, who will? And it's the biggest thing, but it's fucking hard, man. Because as you know, let's put the word here loosely, entrepreneurs, we always think we're not doing enough. We always think there's somebody making more money, that's more successful. So it's very easy to shit on yourself rather than actually push yourself up. You go, oh, Jeff's making 10 million, I'm only making 1, or whatever it might be. You go, so sometimes it is hard to go fucking push yourself, especially when you're in the troughs of business. Because obviously, it's peaks and troughs. It's never just linear growth. So having that mindset of, and actually, I think a good way to put it is, I've seen a quote lately, and it's like, a positive person isn't always happy. It's understanding that better days are coming when you're having a shit day.
Absolutely.
And I think that's just a really good way to put it.
0.1%. I've got that little mentality every single day. So even if it's just one word, maybe that you say to yourself or you've learned, something simple. We can all do that. Yeah. I don't know what that word means, so let's look it up. What's he talking about, linear? I don't know what you're talking about. And I was that person. So I go, what's he talking about? Let me have a look at this. And I then connect that to a sentence or business or life or whatever it meant to me. And the more I did that, the more I built value into myself. And now I'm creating a belief, and now confidence is coming. When I have a conversation, I've got an education, the life experience behind it. And when someone says something, I don't have to go, and surface level conversation. I'm going deep with that, right? And I go, hey, where do I sign up to your program? How do we get you involved with a 5-year contract? What would that look like? In the first conversation, how can you get someone to see the value and benefit? I call it VB of the conversation, so everyone remembers it. It's not the drinking conversation. I'm talking about value and benefit of the conversation. And then you'll get people, they'll just say, where do I sign? You've got to become that expert. Here's the biggest tip to everybody, 0.1%, as you said. And getting caught up in comparison, you'll kill yourself, because you'll never be the richest, fastest, prettiest, or whatever it may be. And you might be in a field, that's great. But at the same time, could you improve that? Even if you were the prettiest, would you put aloe vera or whatever it is on your face that you use it? I've got no idea, because I'm not that person. But in general, how could you keep yourself or upkeep yourself the best way you can?
Getting to that point, though, of, I guess, self-recognition and self-understanding and all that sort of stuff, it's a lot of work. And I look at it as an onion. There's so many layers to uncover. It's not as easy as just, I'm sure, your past individually throughout your life has made you see everything how you're seeing it now. Energy is a massive thing to that as well. And it is funny that you did say you had a 5-minute conversation with someone and they're like, oh yeah, how do I sign up to a 5-year course, all that sort of stuff too. I'm me being in sales, I can tell you now, you get listings and all that sort of stuff. You get business from just pure energy. Like, you can go into situations sometimes without anything, without anything physically, but it's just the energy that it's reciprocated.
You feel that when someone walks in the room, right?
Energy,
and
man.
Good or bad, right? If someone stands behind you, it's like bad. It's like weird. Yeah. It's like, who is this person? And the same principle, if you bring that high energy, look, I'll be honest, we flew in late last night. Energy levels are down, a bit of jet lag in a sense, but what I tell myself, I'm a bit tired. Hey, yeah, boys, and my energy's like this. Or do I pick myself up and say, here's how I operate at the level. When I don't want to do stuff, here's what I do. I'll step up and I'll make it happen. Why? Because the life I want to live is on the other side of the actions I need to take when no one else is looking. I
love that you said that. I literally...
That's fantastic.
I fucking love that so much. So literally something happened the other day where I found myself where I wasn't getting up early. I was like, oh, snoozing the alarm. I was like, fuck, what am I doing? Why is this happening? And I was like, I just don't want this thing bad enough. So kicked myself in the ass, got up, felt like shit for the first 20 minutes, as you do. And I sent a massive message to all of my clients. I was like, you're going to get up early and you're going to feel like shit, but you keep telling yourself that you're tired all day is you just fucking up your own day.
Absolutely.
You can say, you know what, I feel good. I'm ready to train. I want to push hard. I want to eat my food. I want to smash my meal plan. I want to drink my water. Or you can tell yourself, oh, I'm tired and oh, it's fucking hard. It's like what you tell yourself is how you act.
Absolutely.
And then you can shit on yourself or you can push yourself forward.
Huge.
And like you said, it's like it's on the opposite side of the actions you don't want to take. And Mike Tyson said that it's like discipline is doing what I hate but doing it like I love it.
For me, my why is the most important. You got to know your why. And for me,
true.
like I'll tell you a couple of things. My brother sister commit suicide, so I got to appreciate every single second of life. I got to make sure that I'm cherishing every single moment in my life, because if I don't do that, guess what's going to happen? I'm going to end up hating life. I'm going to find all the things. Oh, it's raining today. It's cold out there. You know what? Ask my brother and sister or someone's family member who's not here any longer, would you like to come back and feel the rain and cold today?
100%.
1,000,000% they would. So find the things that, what were the lessons that became blessings out of a situation? So when they pass, that was my why, but also to appreciate every single breath I get to take in those 86,400 seconds that we get every single day. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to cherish every single breath, and I'm going to make it count towards the intentions of my life. I call it the ID of your life, being intentional or distracted by life. Which one? That's your ID to life, right? And you get to choose that journey. And for me, I just go, is this my intention? Even if he walks past, bumps me, you got a problem, bro? Did I write that down in my intentions, my A to B of life, my GPS to life? I didn't. So I'm going to keep walking and wish that bloke, oh, no worries, brother, have a great day. And he'll go, oh, I'll mess you up. I'll go, yeah, I wish I could take care, brother. And I'll just keep walking. Because it's not what's in my space I'm going to create. And then doing the things and recognizing what you've done and celebrating that. And you did that really well with your clients. Hey, guess what? I'm like you. I don't feel like getting up some days. But this is where the magic happens. This is where you become part of that top 5% that keep rolling out. I call it the invincible mindset, where you just keep crawling forward no matter what happens. Because people go, invincible mindset, bullshit. You have your bad days. We all do. Mm-hmm. But we all keep moving forward. So every one of us has got it. And when you do that skills audit, you go, shit, I'm actually strong. I'm resilient. I'm dedicated. Whatever it is. And now you can put it into what? You want to be a surgeon? Great. You want to be an athlete? You just want to see life and watch the sun come up every day. It's your choice. But make sure you show up to it every single day.
That's it.
Wow.
I feel like we've gotten in straight to a lot
that
of
was
deep
fucking
stuff.
fantastic. Like we can almost wrap it up there.
Very,
call it a
very,
day.
very quickly.
Podcast is done. All right. I'll
That's
tell
it.
you.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Go to bed.
But again, I do want to dive into again you as a person.
For those who don't know.
Yeah, for those who don't know, because the upbringing is so important, and a really easy example is like whether it be Troy Candy, whether it be Adrian Portelli. It's like they're just guys who grew up in Melbourne, in the southeast, in the
Love
west,
that.
made bank, super successful, built a name, built multiple businesses, and you've done the same. And it's so relatable because people, for an example, they go, oh, I want to be successful. And they'll think of like, I know, like John Cena or The Rock or like these actors and actresses like who they can't really relate to. Whereas like, oh, Jeffrey grew up in Sydney, in the West. Oh, I was from there. I was from Granville. I was from, Guildford. It's like, how did he do it? And it's like, fuck, he's just a human who busted his ass. And this is the big thing that you've spoken about in a lot of your interviews is you have a decision to sit in it or make a change. Absolutely. So run us through who Jeffrey is, how you got into, like you said a bunch of like petty crimes, starting there, and then so how to run through.
Parents were, they were workers, I'd say. I was thinking about this the other day. I always talk about like my parents, mum alcoholic, father gambling. As much as I say that, I give context, and like they'd have parties till the next day, literally, and it was more drinking. There wasn't really drugs around then. And if anything, it was marijuana. They weren't into it, to be honest with yourself. But they'd drink, party, the music would play all night, they'd sing all night. And at 13 years of age, Dad's physically abusive, or about 12-ish, I should say. I cut from the home. I'm getting bashed every day. It made me really tough. It made me have no fear of anything. And at 12, I stood up to my father. It wasn't a great idea. Big lesson learned in that little situation, and know your capabilities and your limits. But in general, it taught me to get out on the streets, and I became an entrepreneur from that point in time. How do you make money? Where do you sleep tonight? Et cetera, et cetera. And, life of crime started out juvenile justice.
You had to become an adult very quickly.
Oh, absolutely.
At 12, what made you,
Yeah, what was
What
the
do you
turning point that
think-
go, this is the time?
Yeah, what do you think it was when you were 12 years old that made you like, I'm going to stand up to my father?
I think I was at a breaking point, and it was either stand up and stay there, when I realised I couldn't stand up to him, it was run away. I was
breaking
scared.
point,
You
yeah.
know, like you're in a house where you're meant to feel safe, secure, and stable, and my dad didn't, loved, cared for, valued, and mattered. I just didn't feel that in my own home from my father and my mother, and the way they were living and the way he was treating me. So I was just like, I'm more scared. I used to, I'd come, if I was 5 minutes, 1 minute late, I was going to get physically beaten up, right? So for me, I just thought, I'd say, punch me in the eye to my mate. And he'd be like, I'm not punching you in the eye. I said, if you don't punch me, I'm going to punch you in the eye. So, like, I'd rather him punch me in the eye and say, oh, these kids bashed me and I couldn't get home and make up this lie. So here I am lying already as a young kid because I'm scared and fearful. And I think, then you go into the world of you're a liar. And if you're a liar to yourself, as you've said, you're a trainer, you lie to yourself, you come to your clients and say, you should eat right, and he's eating Big Macs in the background or fast foods, let's put it that way, then it becomes a problem. You disconnect with yourself, and all of a sudden you don't feel good from the inside out. And I think as a 12-year-old kid, not to feel good about yourself from the inside out, that's just, no 12-year-old kids are playing with their cars, kicking a footy, shooting a netball or whatever it is. I'm running from my father, worried about how many times I'm going to get hit in this next moment when I walk through that door. So that was my turning point. I went, I'm out, hung jump out a window, and just never looked back again. I had no plan. I think that's probably going into the entrepreneurship side of things. Just jump, don't think. And at the point in time, think about that. If you were on the streets, I'll put you on the streets tonight, you ain't getting any food, any money for the next week until you've got to create it yourself. You'll go and do it because it's important enough, like you said before. When it's not important enough, you say, someone will give me some food. Oh, don't worry about it. I'll go to my mother's, my cousin's, some person's house. But if you had no one, what would you do? And when you operate at that level and that becomes your normal, you become a real entrepreneur because now you'll find a solution. Now you'll pivot. Now you'll be agile. And you'll create these solutions that no one ever thought about. So I see one thing, and I'm multi-dimensional thinking. I've got 10 different solutions going on in my head straight away. You provide that to an organisation, that's huge value.
Yeah, massive.
It's massive. So that was my turning point as a 12-year-old kid, and never looked back. And as much as I hated my parents for a long time, I learned to appreciate that my father was actually doing it to try and discipline me in the area where discipline wasn't great within other kids and they were going down a path, and he was trying to keep me in line. Unfortunately, it sort of pushed me the opposite direction.
It's powerful for you to even see where he was trying to come from in that.
Yeah, the fact
in
that you
that.
saw value in something which seems somewhat it's against you or harmful or abusive, you saw value in that, and that's like,
It didn't happen to you, it happened for you.
Yeah.
Even when I got locked up down here, last sentence, 2003, bank robbery down here, it was the greatest thing that could have happened to me. At the time, I was saying, this is bullshit. I shouldn't have got caught. I want to rob more banks or whatever, make more money, see more girls, party more, all of that criminal behaviour. That moment when I was sitting in custody and come out of the segregation cell after 3 months for a mobile phone, and bump into a professor from Deakin University. He goes, you look like a smart bloke. Would you like to do a university degree? And I was like, why not? And I think at that point in time, I know the sum of all things. Things happen. My co-accused I've been friends with for a long time weren't going to come to court. And I all of a sudden I was like, well, stuff you then. If this is staunch and loyalty in this world, what about my kids that are left posted for 15 years? What about that staunch and loyalty as a father? So and then I seen a thing, 26.2 to life. And it was a movie about marathons in San Quentin jail. And I seen this kid, and he goes, I learned all my skills off YouTube. My father never taught me. And I sat there, and I had a tear on the plane in my eye. My kids didn't have me either. And they probably didn't. I don't think they had YouTube when I was at that point in time. So they didn't have that ability to go and say, how do I kick a football? How do I conduct myself as a female? That breaks my heart. So it's a journey. It's been a journey, but it always happens for you, not to you. And when you flip that mentality, you create a better reality because you see through a different lens.
So back when you said, like you said, you have to make it work, is that sort of what got you into sort of petty crimes, that sort of thing, thinking, you know, if I, you know, whatever it is, rob the milk bar, sell some chuff, it's like, this is easy money? Is that sort of what went through your head? Was that sort of how it happened?
Survival, more hungry. I need a good bed, you know, and for me, a good bed was just a warm bed, roof over my head. I didn't care. We were staying in a $20 hotel at the time, to be honest. It was called the CB Hotel in Sydney, and there was rats, there was cockroaches, but it was a bed. And it was just, I could shut the door and no one was in there. And sometimes I look at when I was in prison and in a cell, I used to feel safe in that cell. As crazy as that sounds with people that are just crazy themselves. And then it was just managing the day. And this is what we do out here as humans. Try and manage the day, even though your marriage is falling apart or your work life or your dreams are disappearing. Oh, we'll just manage the day. We'll get through today and see what happens tomorrow. And all of a sudden, 70 years roll by. And for me, 20 years rolled by in there where I felt safe when the door clunked at night, but I also had shed a tear at the same time. And I think a lot of people, I know, dealing with so many people through our program, the power of not having that conversation with yourself. I unpacked that invisible backpack, started to man up and face up to it and say, is this what you really want from your life? And for me, I was like, this isn't living. I'm just existing. And there's a difference between both.
Another thing I wanted to touch on, and we've seen this with even kids our age, not so much now, sort of in our mid-20s, a little bit younger, maybe between 15 and 18, I guess you could say, is they think sort of doing hood things or little crimes is cool. They think they sort of glamorize the life of designer clothes and selling drugs and jail, and it's like people wear going to jail like a badge of honor, and it's not.
I had that 100%.
Is that sort of what you went through as well? It's like if you were selling drugs or you were going through banks, like, yeah, bro, I just did this and I'm the man.
I think it's more not of being cool. I think it's more for them. That's their idea of strong
and respect
and
like,
strength.
I'm a man.
That's their identity.
Yeah.
So for me, I look back on it now and I realised something major. I didn't have identity because my parents didn't love me. So I felt like I had to go and build my own. And the more I did crime and was good at crime, people would say, he's a good money maker. He's a Porsche thief. He's a this, he's a that. And the more you said that, the more I did that because now that was my identity. Yeah. So now I need the Louis top. I need the such and such car. I need to do this. So I need to be seen with this sexy girl or whatever it is, right? And that's your identity. And as soon as you lose it, you go to jail. You think you lose it. You're a movie star in jail. Oh, you heard about him? He's gone. Spanion on his podcast said hood superstar. For Morgs, when we spoke about who was the best money maker, Jeff Morgan. So whether it was a subconscious or unconscious action, I was living up to that. And who cares? I'm doing 20 years, do it on my head, but cell door shuts, tear comes down my face thinking about my daughter and son growing up without a father. Someone does something to your daughter, what are you going to do, mate? You're behind bars. You're not going to do nothing. And that's, I had to really challenge how I was built. I'm staunch, I'm loyal. And it's just a lack of identity. And sometimes even the kids, people think, oh, yeah, but their parents were great. They worked hard. They done this, that, and the other. They go to work at 6 o'clock in the morning, don't get back home till 6 at night, cook a quick dinner, and then see you off, and that's it, right? Spend minimal time, don't kick a football, don't shoot a netball, and now you're disconnected from your kid, and you think you do. I'm setting my kid up for life. It's
money's
noble,
the least
very
of their
noble.
worries.
Go and work hard, but what about some time with your kid?
Yeah,
and sit and
the
be in that presence. The presence is the greatest present you can give anybody. So to do that and not bring a kid into the world and then disconnect is just like myself. You might as well be in jail because the same thing. You're not there.
So, sorry.
Do you think that subconsciously, not even intentionally? So before I continue that, how old are you how old are your children when you first went away?
27, good question. I would have been 23.
You were 23. Your
23.
Kids were how old at that time?
Actually, I would have been 21 for my daughter.
Yep.
So my kid was just born.
Wow. Okay. So my question here is, do you think subconscious, not even intentionally, it's like you still took these actions knowing you had a child and you could end up in jail because it's like that's the life that you lived And it's what you identify as. It's like it's almost just passing on generational trauma.
Absolutely. I just didn't even think about it. Did not even think about him. And I wasn't any father, if I'm straight out and honest. I just didn't even role model him. And I was lucky I was there for a period of time. I went through a good time with my daughter where I think 0 to 5 I was around. So during those formative years, I instilled some good habits in herself. And I think they stayed there. It was like my dad up until 12. I still carry some of that discipline. I carry a lot of his discipline or a lot of his lessons that became blessings in my life well beyond those 12 years I lived with him. And same thing with my daughter. I think she took a lot of that, and she might not even realise that herself, but she's become, to me, a very good person and a respectable person, and a lot better than I was as a kid. That's the reality. But it's and it always pains me to know that they went through that, and it's always a hard sort of journey to see that and look back and think to yourself, you could have done better. But I flipped that perspective on that.
I was just about to say, because you said it always works for you, and flip the perspective. How, in a really, I guess, shitty situation where your kids were on their own throughout important times, how did you what was the perspective then?
To be honest, then I just didn't think. Like I said, I was in this survival mode, and people out here go through this program of life. And I just went through what I call my own program of life. Here's how you grow up, here's how you make money, and this is it. And I'm providing for my kids. Look how good. You want to travel here, you want to drive that car, you want to do this. I had all the money I needed, no problem. But I also had the police breathing down on my back, waiting to throw me away as long as they possibly could, rightfully so at that point in time. So, to me, it's looking back at that craziness of how you accept. What you accept, you regret, I always say. People just go through these wheels of life. And I ask everybody, people say to me, money's not everything, mate. And I'm like, so tell me what money's for. Is it to pay your bills, or is it to live the life you want? And if it's to live your life that you want, and it's not to pay your bills, what is the life that you want? Would you travel more? Would you walk your doggy down the beach and watch the sun come up? Kick a footy with your son more? Be present in your relationship with your partner so you don't sleep in different rooms, and tell the whole world, especially in different communities, we know how hard it is to be present, where you have to show face even though the marriage is breaking up. Don't show anybody. We'll hold hands at this place and pretend nothing's wrong, but you're going to sleep in that room, I'm going to sleep. You've got to be able to step into the greatest version of yourself by acknowledging how you're built. Is it truly serving you? And it's not happening to you, it's happening for me. What lessons is it teaching me so I can learn, grow and prosper from? And I call it the LGP of life. How do you learn, grow and prosper from any situation? That's what I had to do with my daughter and son. I just had to learn, grow and prosper. You can't judge yourself on a version. Let's say it's a car that's worth $1,000. You can't judge yourself on that version trying to race the latest Lamborghini. You're kidding yourself. So I can't go back and say you were terrible, but if I learned and I had invested my money right and I want to race a car and I can buy the Lamborghini, beautiful. Now I'm at a level of operation that let's race. We'll race Lamborghinis, right? But trying to go back and compare yourself as that $1,000 car that's all beat up, why aren't I running as efficiently, or comparing myself to the next person? Just craziness. And that's what a lot of us will do. But you've just got to understand, was I educated enough? No, I wasn't. How was I built? Wasn't built well. How can I get better from it? How can I learn, grow, prosper from it? Here's how. What were the lessons that became blessings? And now you've got a solid foundation to operate from, the right choices. And if you make a different choice, then now there's a bit of a problem, maybe somewhere emotionally with yourself, what's going on in the background. Unpack your invisible backpack, what's happened to you in your past. Let's turn that into a blessing and a lesson, and your future becomes brighter.
I think a really good thing to take from that, you said it without saying it, and that's sort of building a life by design. Like you said, do you want to walk the dog? Do you want to be able to train at 2 p.m. during the day? Do you want to not be able to have to work till 8 p.m.? It's like building that life. What is it that your life, so what do you want in your life? And what are the things that you require to get there?
Absolutely.
Is it waking up earlier? Is it going to sleep later? Is it working more hours? Is it networking? Is it meeting new people? And most of the time I feel a lot of people like the end outcome I think a very easy one is like fitness is a very easy one. Like, oh, I want a six pack. How good is a six pack? Yeah, at the beach, whatever. Girls love me. All right, you want to follow your meal plan 7 days a week? You know, stay in your deficit, do a bunch of cardio? Oh, not really. So a lot of people, don't see the hard yards behind the thing, that the outcome, and then usually they just like the idea of the thing, but don't like the idea of the process behind it, which is a really big thing.
Absolutely. And you got to commit to that process. Whatever it is, fitness, financial, relationship, you got to work on it constantly and just say to yourself, how bad do I want it? Sometimes you'll talk to people and they say, I want a six pack, and they say, but I like the chocolate cake too. So yeah, that's cool. You can have a balance of it. Exactly. Whatever it is for you, right? As a trainer, mine was 80-20, 80, and I still live by that, where we eat from the land as Aboriginal people. 20% of the time enjoy life, but over time that become like 95-5. So
exactly right.
I'll have a cake here and there. Why? Because I just don't enjoy tasting the sugar in my mouth. Now, if I feel like a bit of ice cream, I'm not going to beat myself up on it, right? But to know and understand that journey, most people say, I don't want to give up anything. Yeah. And I, like in any way, shape or form.
They want the cake and they want to eat it too.
Absolutely. So you get to choose your journey, but don't cry about it then. And because people go, oh, I wish I had that car. I wish I could travel there. I wish I had that body. Well, don't wish. It's all up to yourself. You write it out. And if you don't show up to it, that's on you, not anybody else.
I think a lot of people now just think things happen overnight for everyone as well, especially in this climate we're in at the moment with social media, Instagram bigger than ever, and people see other people successful and think it's just happened overnight. Like you mentioned Jeff Bezos before, and you know, I was watching a documentary on him the other day and how he started and how he's actually been working like a dog for, 30 odd years and had his failures and bankruptcies and all that sort of stuff too. And it just, a lot of people just think it happens overnight now, which is a massive thing.
People come out and say, oh, overnight success to anybody.
To you, I'm sure you probably cop it.
I cop it all the time. You got lucky this year. You just killed it, bro. You just went out. What happened, mate?
You came out of jail and now you're rich. That's not how it works.
And the things that you did in the process didn't all work. And even those words, I don't use failure. I just use lesson.
Yeah.
So I shift out of any negative word. I remove it unless it's on a podcast. I'm in some program that I'm teaching somebody to rewire their mindset. How do you do that? Well, you speak positive to yourself. And that means you tell yourself you made a mistake, or you tell yourself you got depression. You tell yourself, I'm tired tonight. I'm going to sit here and go, oh, we're nearly done, lads. Oh, yeah. And your energy out to the world's going to be what? And people go, who's this bloke? 7 figures. How's he? He's snoozing. He's losing. Show them that you're that person when you need to be that person. Show them that you'll stand up when you need to be. And not show them for them. Show them for yourself, because that's who you want to be. And the life that you want is on the other side of those actions.
Just quickly, I think we'll touch on as well. Obviously, you've brought it up a few times. You've spent, a chunk of your life in prison.
Absolutely.
Almost half.
Almost, yeah. Is that
I'm
right?
51 this year, so it's been a good 20 years. I'm starting to put the ledger on the other side and turn it into a bit of a positive for myself. So.
Yeah, and that's all you can do, right?
100%.
Because what else? What's your other option? Cry about it. Kick yourself up about it. It won't. Again, that's all you can do.
I've got a saying on that really quickly. What someone says about you isn't your business. How you respond is the awareness of yourself. And that means that you've got to people are going to say, every time they write an article about me, bank robber. I'm cool with that, right? Chapter 5, Chapter 55, 2 totally different versions. Please do yourselves a favour if you're out there listening to it. People might even have access to the new version of yourself. Oh, you heard about this guy. He was like that. That was then. This is now. And the only person that has to respond to you is you every single day when you look in that mirror and you go, mate, I'm full of shit. And you know that, like you said, you sleep in, you're like, I'm telling these people to get up and crack it. Well, you better do that same thing.
You're not coming from a place of purity. Like
100%.
You're not aligning. Because I had a mindset coach a while back, and she goes, I was like, why am I feeling like this? She goes, because you're speaking with disalignment with yourself.
Absolutely.
How are you going to tell someone to do something that you're literally not doing yourself? Subconsciously, you feel like shit. Exactly right. And subconsciously, you know that your subconscious knows that you're eating your fucking chocolate. You're sleeping in.
I disconnect. When I first came home, I'd fixed a lot of. I wouldn't say I haven't fixed, because that's telling me I plugged a lot of gaps that I wanted to fill so that I lived a more positive and productive life, right? And I'm partying one time with a good friend of mine. It's just a couple of years out, and he says, "Morgs, can I tell you something?" I go, "Yeah, go for gold, brother." He goes, "Mate, you know, you're super fit." I had a 6-pack at the time. I was a trainer at the time, qualified nutritionist, and here I was racking up on the weekends. Like, and when I say that, it was the long weekends, because as a trainer, you didn't get much time off, right? I was booked out, flat out, back to back. So the 4-day weekends, bang, I'm going to unwind. Let's get together. Mate on you. No one's going to know. But he said, "Morgs, Chinese whispers, brother, me and you know. And I'm okay. I won't say nothing. But if you do it with other lads, and I know that you do because they've told me." So what was happening, I was misaligned with, I'm telling everyone, be the shiny version of your health. Here I'm shredded, but I'm racking up on the weekends, even if it was 3-4 times a year, whatever it was. And that misalignment, as soon as he said it, bang, I just said, "Brother," I pushed a plate across, said, "Brother, enjoy it." And he goes, "Where you going?" I said, "I'm cutting." I said, "You're right what you've just said, and mate, I don't feel good about myself. I'm out of here." And I've never ever looked back, and I thank him. To this day I say, "Bro, what you told me." And we need to hear this. So people out there, if you got friends that are,
Let them call you out on your shit.
call them. If they call you out, man up. You know, male or female, just say, "You know what, it's true. I'm not showing up. I was going to go and get a fit body. I was going to eat better. I was going to create a business. I was going to be good to my partner." Call yourself out on it. And most importantly, if you got friends in your space, your best friends will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. True story. And you know, I was grateful for him forever for that. Never look back, brother, and just don't need to. If I'm going to tell you that you can live the healthiest, happiest, calmest, most successful version of yourself, it ain't racking up on a weekend.
Yeah, definitely not.
Before we sort of shift into the new Morgs and what he does now, there's a couple of questions. We told a few of our guests that we're going to have you on, and a big question was, because I've seen it in the past as well with friends of friends where they'll go into jail, they'll come out, and they'll just repeat.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, and I always question on the outside. I'm like, is it just because it's all they know? Is it just because they just don't care anymore because they've done the worst thing, which is jail? So it's like, are they just not scared of it anymore? What makes you like repeat an action that you know the outcome's going to be the same?
You got comfortable with it, you know, like.
Cool, jail's not scary, like.
That's crazy because people out here, there's chaos going on in their world, and they've got comfortable. And you go, "You're right, brother? Yeah, no problems. You're right, sister? No, yeah, life's good." But then I'm hearing that they're arguing, screaming. The neighbours call me and saying, "What's going on at Chris and Mary's house," right, as an example. And yeah, you go to their house 5 minutes later and they go, "Oh, hi, Jeff, would you like a cup of tea?" "Oh, it's all good here." Yeah, no worries. Why would you ask that? And it's just, we put on this mask, I call it the bank robber mask. They wear it out here and pretend that there's somebody else. So you get good at managing that chaos. "All good, brother? Yeah, no problems. Do you want to order?" "Oh, no, I'm not eating at the moment." Why? Because they got minus in their bank account. No judgment, but we sit and we get good at managing this chaos. So I'll just lie about this situation. Don't worry about it. So I lied to myself in that cell. Yeah, fuck, this is easy. So by the time you just get to this point where it becomes, that's not the problem. It's more the unconscious problem that I need to recognise so I can become conscious again. Because if I don't do that, I'm going to always operate from where I've always operated from, and I'm not fearful of that. And until you say, what's your why to change?
Yeah.
What is your vision, purpose, and why to change? You won't change. You just go, life's good. I'm cool with this. Do 10 years, do it standing on my head. Partner's going to leave you while you're in jail. Who cares? I'll find another girl. That sort of mentality becomes your absolute norm. And as I said out here, people do that every single day. This is normal. And I'm like, that's crazy in my head. And they're just saying, "Oh, no, I've got good at it." And same thing, you know, as a trainer, people saying, "I'll go to the gym." And they'll go through this little process where they tell themselves, "I don't need to go until cancer comes up." And now it's important enough, you'll show up to that appointment to get your check done, your bloods done, your treatment done. Make that an important part of your life or component. What's the quality of life mean to you? Yep. Independence, not breaking my hip, not being, you know, alone by myself when I'm older, not feeling confident because I'm carrying weight. Those sorts of things. Find your why.
Huge. Another question that we got a lot was like, if you don't mind sharing, the largest amount of money you sort of made from a job.
The largest one I got charged for was $250K. So that was the one down here.
Yep. Which bank was that, if you don't mind sharing?
Commonwealth Bank in Blackburn.
Yep.
So,
Good old Combank.
yeah, and that was everything. We took everything from that day. We hammered the vault open. For that, we always get this, sledgehammer the vault, isn't it thick? The vault's thick, it's open. So you pull that open, and then there's a fin, sort of, it's almost like a hardened bit of fin steel. You sledgehammer that, and huge money's usually behind that. But 250K for that day, and we got away. Police watched us do it. We come out of the bank. They tried to stop us, got in the car, and we cut the seam. Unfortunately, went back to the same hotel, Questin Punt Road, which is now, I think it's just a set of flats there. And basically, they showed up again because the surveillance had started from there. Hotel manager calls them, and the rest is history. 7 years later, I walk out of Melbourne jail.
How, like, obviously, like, you see bank robbing in movies and all that sort of stuff. Did you guys, from the opposite side of that spectrum, is it something that was planned? How long was that planned
Yeah, how
for?
does that work?
Like, was there an actual process to it? You know,
For me, it was
صحتين.
it was a whole it was a whole process for me where we came down, crew together, scanner.
So
the
you
whole
came
lot.
from Sydney just to do it?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Got a car, turn the alarm off in the factory, take the car, put the roller all back down, try to make no one notice. Unfortunately, the boys had
So you
done
sold the
that.
car first.
Yeah,
Yep.
they were meant to put it away. I don't know what they were doing, joyriding. Went to the front of the car, hotel. Police saw the car at the front of the hotel. Went into the hotel because these cars had been used in numerous robberies down here. They said this might be another run at a bank or something of that nature. Anyone from Sydney, only got this guy. He's not none of the names you've given us. They sent it back to Sydney. They said, that's not James Ramutra. That was a fake name. I still remember it to this day. And they basically then put surveillance on us and just watched us for the 2 days leading up to it. So looking at banks, we realised we were under surveillance at one point in time. I'm like, let's pull the pin and we'll get done for the car, and that's it. At this point in time, that's all they get us on. No, you're tripping out. I think the coal queues, we end up going through with it. And
So it was just two of yous?
4 of us, even to the point where there was a van in front of the car. We had an M5 BMW black van with black tints. And I was like, mate, police are there. Listen, I'm not walking up to that car. You're going to get jumped when you go to get in the car. 3 of them said, no, we'll walk up. So I was like, if you walk up, let me tell you, I'm going to run the opposite way. I'm walking off. I'm going to watch you. I don't think it's a good move. I think you're about to get jumped. And they're like, no, we'll do it. I said, mate, you're on your own. I'm walking up this end. And they jumped in the car, drove it out, and we thought, I went, well, it must be all right then. But it was actually a police van that had a camera in it and basically filmed them jumping in. And they didn't cover up, walking up to the car, and that basically sunk them from the get-go.
You said, what year was this, you said?
2003.
2003.
What? Obviously, with everything you know now and your self-awareness and all that, what was going through your head mid-robbery? Was it,
Like, I'm G, there's so much money.
I'm
like,
excited, I can't wait to do this? Was it, am I doing
For
the wrong
sure.
thing?
If I'm honest, for sure, when you're in that world,
Adrenaline's running.
and the reality is, a lot of people think about, or back then would have thought about robbing a bank. We had another podcast, boys from down here, and they said the same thing. Oh, I've always looked at armor guards and think, could I grab that and just run off? And just not in a bad sense.
Yeah, you
People
just like,
look at
Everybody
it,
thinks it.
oh, Ocean's 11, I'm going to be that person, or
Yeah.
whatever it is that they sort of come up with this scenario. But you think, I've shared this before. I'd have the driver in my ear, how much? Because you could sort of look at it and sort of get a bit of a guesstimate. Here's the hundreds in X piles, 50s in this pile, that amount, and you'd know, and you'd look at it and go, oh, and I'd say we'd be, shut up, like just playing around with one another, talk a specific way, but you'd be happy during
Like
it.
Pig
because
Latin
the
type stuff?
Yeah, and we'd chatting away in that regard, no names, no nothing, but, and I'm being real and raw, more not to be proud of it, but that's just what happened at that point in time. During that last bank robbery, I'm sledgehammering a safe. You got to imagine steel, the sledgehammer cracking this thing, bang, it sounds like gunshots. This kid starts crying. I run out, take the kid outside the bank, say, oh, it's only a movie, we're playing, high-five the kid, and then run back in and sledgehammer the
Wow.
So, and my co-accused actually...
That's like your inner, like, good person almost, like.
So
that's funny, isn't it?
It was crazy,
Wow.
I look at that and I think, I was a good person, I was built wrong. Wow. So I had, goodness in me, my grandmother and mother, as much as my mother was an alcoholic, my grandmother and her were beautiful people. So I just learnt from them how to be beautiful inside, I suppose, growing up. And I treated people as best I could, but I got to a point where I went past that, thinking this is how I survive, and you're in the road of my family getting food, and I'm going to do what I need to do. And I think, anyone would do the same thing. If I came in your house, you're going to go, I need to do what I need to do to protect myself. And that's probably where I was at mentally. And that becomes such a habit. So people understand, being a trainer, I'm going to lose weight, but I love this chocolate. We got the greatest intention on the 1st of January. 7th of January, you're falling over and you stay that way. That's how I was as a bank robber, as a kid.
Yes, in that moment, you're like, fuck, I just made 80 G's. Like, let's go. Let's run it. Like,
hardcore. Let's run it up again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that was the craziest thing about where we grew up. We had the town. I don't know if you ever watched that. If people haven't watched that, it was Ben Affleck in it, and it was about, they said Boston had one of the most notorious towns for bank robbers. I think Redfern challenged that 100%. We'd meet at the top. People say, "What are you doing? Let's go have a feed." We'd be talking about any good banks, and that, like. It was just insane. And to think of that, we operated at, we got good at managing the chaos. What about the police? Who cares? What about getting shot? Who cares?
But I think in that industry, again, whether it be people who sell Coke, whatever it might be, we've all been around that sort of people. It becomes an achievement, an accomplishment. Like, this bank had 250. All right, we've got to find a bank with 500. Or this guy sold an O. Well, this guy sold a P, or whatever it might be. And it's like, it's all like, who's better? And it's like
just touching on that was leading up to my next question. All that sort of stuff. You in the bank feeling good about yourself, all that sort of stuff. Your mindset in that life of selling, drugs, whatever it might be, people on the streets doing what they do. It all falls back to, and this is a question I wanted to ask you. It all falls back to ego.
Absolutely.
And this is a discussion I've always had within myself, because at the end of the day, do you feel that there is a power in the ego as well as the obviously the evil side to it too?
Absolutely. Like, if you can control your ego,
that's the ultimate power, isn't it?
Because it's more. I realized that the ego left me when I was more intentional and directional to my GPS of life. And what that means is now I've got a purpose. So I hit that floor every morning. I'm going to the gym to get healthy. I'm going to write out and journal because I want to connect to myself. What is my goals for today, and what's my to-do list around them? Is this moving me closer to my goals or further away? All those questions. And when you do that, now your ego's it's in check. And if someone says, "Hey, mate, I got a new Porsche," I'm like, "Oh, congratulations, brother." Because I see it as an achievement. I want to celebrate that person. Hey, and have a chat about what you do for business. What do you do? What do you do? It's one of the first questions I ask people.
Yeah, 100%.
And then I'm going to celebrate you. Can I share your business? Yeah, no problem. Here, bang, I'll do it on my socials for you. Why? Because I want to see us all win. Back in the day, I wanted you to win, but not more than me.
Yeah.
So that's where, and I had no intention, no direction, no clarity. What was my identity? Bank robber, Porsche thief, great money maker. So I was going to live up to it. Then I had to shift that, and I go, well, what skills? I did that skills audit on myself. Are you determined? Yeah. Can you make money? Yeah. What skills are involved in that? How can you translate that into the real world? Destructive to constructive, negative to positive, and all of the above, bad to good. And that's where the magic happened. I'd let go of the ego. And then I could have chats on social media about vulnerability. And here's what I did, and here's how I treated women. I cheated on my partners. And I don't say that, I'm cheating on my partner. How good's that, brother? Give me a high five. And all you girls out there stuff you. It's more like I had the realization when I actually felt that I loved somebody, but I was built wrong, and then I got caught cheating and they left me, devastated me. And I was like, I stuffed them anyway. They treated me bad, so I validated it. And then I went, no, what about you? What could you control, the internal versus the external, what you don't control? And I just went, you're not built well. And if you really love that person, what did you learn from it? How can you grow from it? And how can you prosper? So I didn't want to go down a destructive path. I didn't want to burn myself more. And, man, I've been with my partner for 4 years, and I've been respectful to my partner. And I still get the messages. I still could no doubt hit people up just based on their conversations. But what for? To create what? More stress in my life?
Yeah.
And that's hard to do as a man.
It is.
Control
And again,
your
it's
ego.
controlling. That's the thing with us men, I think, in today's world is controlling that ego is very, very hard. A discussion about ego could be had for hours and hours, but
Hundreds.
like hundreds of hours. But
Someone checks you on the street.
well, that's what it is. Going back to that story you said of like if someone comes in your house with your kids, you know, your fight or flight is your ego is telling you to harm that person,
shit out of them,
kick
yeah.
the shit out of
Absolutely.
them. But then you've got that other side to you is like, all right, I could attempt to do something to this person. They
Diffuse
could
the
kill me,
situation.
and my daughter would not have a father. You know, that's what it is as well.
And I've spoken about this. We could stand up to someone on the street, but they could hit you once and hit the right spot, knock you out, you fall back, hit your head on the corner.
Gone.
And you're gone, and your wife's there and your kids are watching this. What about that? Gone forever. And now your kids are left with that image forever.
Or you
So-
hit them and they drop,
Or
and
vice
then you're
versa.
prison. You know,
100%. So how can you check yourself? And once you check yourself before you wreck yourself, the old song, eh? Check yourself. But I can't sing, so I'm not even going to go there. But in general, check yourself before you wreck yourself, because it's easy to just go, I'll punch this person. Or look, there's times where my head does the cartoon character, saw him in half, chop him in the 100 pieces, and then, put him in the ocean. The shark eats him. I cut up the shark and throw him to the lions. And, like, that's
Awfully
my head.
descriptive.
We all think something, right? Not to that level, but it was just,
It's a joke.
it just goes through you like, I want to.
Yeah.
It could be someone that does something minor to you
Yeah.
on a day that you're not built well. When you're built well, I just respond
Somebody doesn't
from
let you in
love.
in traffic. Somebody doesn't give you the thank you wave.
Love, kindness, empathy, and respect. So it's because your values, you value being respected. So when you feel that he's disrespected you, you let him in, didn't even give you the wave. He might be. You got to understand this. He might be so stressed out racing to the hospital. They said your father's got an hour to live. Make it to the hospital. You think he's worried about waving to you? So sometimes we're
Context.
thinking in our space rather than thinking in everyone's space. And all I can do is control myself. And if you want that spot, you must want it for a reason. Big love to you, brother.
Yeah.
Love, kindness,
100%.
empathy, and respect.
Now, on to the new Morgs. So, again, a lot of people know you for what we've just spoken about, but not a lot of people know all the good that you're putting out into the wider community across Australia, actually internationally, really. And I feel like that's what we want to dive into. Now, you've worked with over 650,000 Aussies.
More now.
That is-
We're up to, that was on the website a long time
That was a long
ago.
time.
I don't know if
That was
that's
all
obviously-
that
I don't
I
have
could find. Yeah, I couldn't find anything really, really recent.
Yeah.
So let's say
That's
a million.
massive.
Like, that's huge. Like, if you think about a million people, if you think about an MCG.
it's like 10 MCGs. It's
Yeah.
nuts when you
And
think
even
about it.
if you get like, look, the reality is not everyone engages.
Yep.
They sign up. So many people sign up. They'll never even see the program. I don't know whether they're stealing the program, getting ideas from it. I don't know, right? I hope that it's for a better reason.
Yep.
Not even. I hope that if someone like yourself did it, you take that, put it into your own version, and it saves, change, or redesign somebody's life, right? But in general, say we got 20% return of investment on that, 200,000 people, it's just huge.
Massive.
Now, with that, is it a specific population? Can anyone sign up? What's the main purpose? Is it just people that are disadvantaged? Is it people that are getting involved with crime?
No, it's basically for human beings to unleash their dreams. That's probably the
Wow,
best way.
what a sentence.
A lot of people have a dream or a thought, and it's just a subconscious thought. And I'll ask everybody that watches this, and be honest with yourself, how long have you been thinking about one particular thing? And if you say to yourself, I've been thinking about starting a training program for 5 years. I've been thinking about traveling to this location for all my life. And you're 38 and it hasn't happened, when will it happen? So it's really about getting you to say, how can I step past what's holding me back? What's in my invisible backpack? What am I thinking to stop myself? How can I stop comparing myself? All these elements of life. I identified 10 pillars with all those people, and those 10 pillars, let's say it's relationships, financial freedom, how to manage your finances. You get money, you spend it on clothes. Why are you spending it on clothes? You want to feel good. So if you want to feel good, why did that happen? What's in your invisible backpack? Let's unpack that. What are your values, morals, beliefs? What is respect to you? What does it look like? Is it waving to someone when they let you in? What happens when they don't Do you respond from what? This
Anger, insecurities.
Why do you have anger?
Lack.
So I can guarantee when you've unpacked that,
Fuck, that's so deep.
Yeah.
That is.
Sign me up, man.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Find me a course.
we don't think that level. We think on surface level. It's like, oh, mental health. Let's save the world. It's no good. Men or women are checking out of this planet. We've got to save us. Oh yeah. Well, tell me the next 10 steps. So I call it a layered approach. 10 steps means that you got a solid foundation. You build a building like this in the city, right? You don't just come and go, oh, yeah, this looks like a good spot, bang, and put it up, right? They've got to survey. I'm no builder, but they survey it, they put Rio, they concrete it, people to do the windows, the whole lot, right? It's a whole plan. How many steps would be in that plan? Build a car, there's how many pieces? I've got to find
Millions,
out. I keep
thousands.
talking about this. There's thousands of pieces in a car. So what about yourself in life? How many pieces have you worked on? People go, probably 10. 10, you reckon you built well?
I don't even think at that. At best,
True. Like you
Some
go
people
through
don't drink 2
school,
liters of water a day, man.
and 100%. So hydration level. What about your bed? What type of sheets do you have? What all of the above? Is your room dark? They go, I want to sleep better, and I'm like, all right. So what's your room look like? They go, what do you mean? And I go, oh, I like sleeping when my blinds open. Well, good luck with that. Firstly, second one, what's your bed like? How much did you invest in it? I just got this cheap one. It hurts my back. Well, you're going to sleep good, right? And we're so unconscious that we go through life like
you
that.
said, we're
Remember the chaos?
We're existing.
Remember?
We're not living,
the
man.
chaos, it's messing my back up, but I'm good at it. I just learned to sit
Stretch a little
differently.
bit, yeah.
I sit like this at work, or when I'm in the car, I do a bit of a
Bro,
stretch.
he's got it down pat,
Do you know
man.
what I mean? Like, and we'll tell ourselves and get comfortable with that. But as long as you're comfortable with that, you'll die with regret. And that little dash in between, A to B of life, I call it A when you're born, B is when you die, GPS to your life. That dash is your life. That is the most important dash you'll ever write out, but people don't realise
I didn't think I was going to come and cry, bro. I didn't think I was going to come here and cry.
It's funny. It's funny you brought
And
up.
sometimes it might cry. You might have a moment. You sit there and go,
Yeah, 100%.
don't beat up on that version that hasn't showed up to your own life.
It really, everything you're saying right now, and I hope this goes out to everyone that's listening as well, is just really start paying more attention and be more conscious and intentional with decision making, where you're going, what you're doing, where the money's going, just everything.
First challenge to everyone out there, challenge your first thought. So you're in a dialogue, I say, you want to dive with me tomorrow with sharks or jump out of an aeroplane. Most people are like, nah, fuck that, I'm not doing that. And that will be like 10 years later, we could ask them the same question and they'll literally word for word rip it out from their inner dialogue. Nah, fuck that, I'm not doing that. Same way it's said, same intensity that they said it with 10 years ago, because they just said, that's how I'm wired and that's what I'm sticking to.
They don't challenge it.
Challenge that and say, and I did it to Sal. We were in Dubai. I said, I'm booking us in to jump out over the palm. And I seen her face. I swear, she was like white. And even when, man, I got this video and I'll even send it to you if you want it. Bless Sal, sorry, boo. But in general, she's like getting a vest on or whatever you want to call it. I'm no parachuter. But she's getting this thing done up. And I'm like, you good, boo? And she's like, yeah. She's got this face. I swear, I'll give it to you and play the video. And literally her face is just a bunch of terror. But she just went up in the plane and she saw me go out first. I luckily went out first.
Oh, did you go separately too?
Yeah, so I went first out the plane. Bang, I was gone. And then she was like, well, stuff it. If he's gone, I'm going with him. And even when she went out, the other video to it, she's got her eyes shut. She jumps out like this. Then she opens her eyes up and... you just got to challenge that first response because that's your neurological pathway.
That's unconscious. 9 times, I think it's like 8 or 9 out of 10 decisions that you make is like subconscious.
100%. Jump out of there and fuck no.
Do you want to go for dinner? Yeah, sure. Like, wait. I meant to be sticking to my diet. Like, you didn't even think about the question that was asked. You just answered it.
How's your day?
Good. Yeah, good. Not bad.
What are you up to? Not much.
Path of least resistance.
Yeah, 100%. This is less stressful. But what if I said to him, I've been creating this journal that's going to be released so that everybody could work on themselves. He goes, I've been wanting to do that. What's your advice? Here's the first journey. Let's sit down and do it together. So it's a real in-depth conversation. We live in a drive-through society. You were talking about this before. I call it drive-through society. Drive-through, I want to get a six-pack. Yep, bang, sweet, go out the other side and it's
That's
there.
so true.
And now we've got doctors that will do that.
And everyone's monetizing that now.
Lips, And each to their own. I'm not here to judge you, but if you're not ready to work on yourself, how are you going to actually create the life you want?
Yep.
And it starts with you.
Now, this is the big thing. You mentioned this a lot. You said you have to have your why. So what's Jeffrey's biggest purpose? Like, what's the purpose of all the positive you're trying to put out? Is it stopping people from self-harm? Is it stopping people from doing crime? Or what's the main reason?
When I was a kid growing up and I walked up that laneway, I seen someone stabbed, walking up this laneway, syringes on the ground, someone else holding a syringe going into that arm, people swearing at each other, people drunk, another fight out in the laneway, and this is from one end of the laneway to the other. Wow. I was like, this can't be normal. Like, what could be normal, and how could I create that and be a part of that? And I think that's the biggest thing for me. I was like, I'm going to be in our community, Aboriginal community, someone that breaks this cycle. I don't want to be my min number 212788. I'll never ever forget that badge of honour back then. I want to change that. And you know what? Even in that journey to change it, I got a lot of flack. Many years later, same people are now saying, because of you, I did X, Y, and Z. Knowing your why, that was my first why. Secondly, create job opportunities. 500 different language groups, Aboriginal language groups in Australia. One male, one female from each of those language groups.
Wow.
1,000 workers. Buy back the supermarkets within our communities. Give them back to Aboriginal communities, only to those that want to elevate their life. So create excellence within the community. Well, anything. It could be art, it could be culture, it could be a business, it could be whatever you want to do, right? Play sports. We'll support you. The money that's made from that, the profits, put it back into the community. You want to go to university, you want to start a business, whatever it is. Get the elders from that community and build that. For me, that creates a Jeffrey Morgan Foundation. I realised that was my starter. And I realised, far out, this is bigger than our community. This is the whole world. We just sit with our middle name at death is regret. 100%.
Massive
7 years,
word.
mum had cancer, dad had cancer. 7 years I sat at the front of the hospital. What's your biggest regret? I wish I had done this. I wish I had done that. So I spoke to those people for 7 years and I built that into myself and I said, there's no way I'm taking anything to my grave that I regret. And I started to build that into myself. And that's when my 16 years of age, I started to say, I don't want to be a part of this life. It took me 21 years to get out of that life because I was so entrenched in it. But that's my why, to go out and create the life I want. The new one is not to see winter ever again. So for me, coming back to Melbourne during winter was the worst thing ever. But I did it with a purpose. I was here and this correction system gave me the opportunity to change my life. And someone asked me, and we cut our holiday short prior to our holiday being booked so we can come back and give back to this opportunity to those that can't see and want to be something different. So those sorts of things add to, but ideally long-term, Jeffrey Morgan, Jeff and Sal Foundation, for me, that's important to us because, my brother and sister, they're no longer here because they checked out. They didn't feel they had the voice or they were heard or that they were valued or that they mattered. And they're not the only ones. I know that people, even at the highest, Robin Williams, people at the highest regard, they look great. They got the bank robber mask on. So, what's happening? Life's good. I'm about to do my next movie. Next minute, he's not here anymore. So how can we get people to step in and create and design, like you spoke about before, the life you want? And then as a mate, hey, you told me X, Y, and Z, show up to that. And how can I help you show up to that, my brother? And don't you think I'm having a go at you and being a prick. I'm actually making sure that you live the life that you told me you want to live. That's being a true friend to yourself. And if I'm not that friend, I wish you all the best, but I'm here for you all day, every day. If we did that as a community, imagine what we get out of this world.
Fucking hell. That's
crazy.
That's insane, man. Now, one last thing before we wrap up is, for those who do want to join the program, is it for anyone specifically? Is it for a specific gender, age, any background of work or anything like that? Or is it just for someone who's like, I'm in a rut, I need help, I want to better myself?
I wouldn't even say in a rut, because people do, if you say, oh, you're in a rut, they go, no, I'm not. Ego comes into play, don't tell me I'm in a fucking rut.
And they're not in a position to obviously understand that.
100%. So you just say, what do you want to get out of life? I'll get them to write out their A to B of life. Where would you travel to? What would you do as a passion for your business? And when they write out, I say, what's the gaps that are sitting in a space and a place that you need to head towards to identify? What can we help you identify that you don't know? And fill those gaps with all the value and benefit to the life you want. And then we just help and assist that person step into that version. Accountability, discipline become a part of their DNA. And guess what happens at that point in time? A different way of life. And it's not about, I'm better than, you don't have to have been locked up. We work with corporates, soldiers, athletes, mothers, fathers, kids. It's human behavior. How we think, we become. And if you are only built from what your parents taught you, and your parents knew level 1, I want to start a business, very hard, don't do this one. Yeah, and I mean that respectfully. I've heard it. I've been there with that conversation. I don't know about this one. And I'm like, man,
trying to figure out, is that Asian, is that Indian? Who's he picking on?
Yeah.
Who's he picking on here?
No, but I've
also
been,
sounds Middle Eastern.
Yeah, I was like, my dad, bro.
But we're like, you've probably been there where someone said they want to play soccer for Barcelona, and they're like, you're dreaming. We've got friends that will tell us that, right? So as long as you surround yourself with those people, you're always going to get the same
100%.
result. So you've got to be able to see things differently, and to do that, you've got to open and broaden your mind.
Finding your why, though, and, just before we do wrap up, finding your why is not easy. It's very, very hard. I guess the question I have before we do wrap up is, if there is someone out there who's just utterly struggling to find their why and don't even have any drive or purpose in their life, what do you think, what are the sort of the steps from there on out?
It's definitely get a mentor or guide that's been there, done that. I'm going to fast track, give you the cheat code to life. That's what I call it. It's a cheat code to life. So instead of doing 21 years where I'm sitting in the cell going, what do I want out of life? All these questions I ask myself, what's your happiness look like? What's your success look like?
You're sparking that in.
Like, I can go and say to that person, you fill this out within a month, I'll help you unleash your business.
Yeah.
3 months later, they're starting to make some serious money. And that's because I've gone through all that, and it took me that long. And now it's like a locksmith. I put it that way. The bloke comes, or female comes these days, anyone, and they come and open your door in 3 seconds, and he goes $300. And you're like, what? Man, you're 3 seconds. It wasn't the 3 seconds. It was the years that took him to get to 3 seconds to open your door.
It's like that, the broken ship was like, a million people tried to fix a broken ship. One guy came, smacked it in a certain spot. It's like 10 grand. He's like, why is it 10 grand? He goes, you just hit it once. He goes, it's knowing where to hit it. That's worth the money.
That's what we do. Like, we help people elevate their life, find their happiness, feel their quality of life to a point where their independence is built around strength. Vulnerability is, you can be vulnerable all day, every day. As a man, that's a hard thing to do. He's piss weak. He's not strong. He's this, he's that, and the other. When you just don't care about anybody else but your own GPS to life, you're in a realm of bliss. And when people say, Morgs, how you traveling? Bliss, brother. I don't just, I'm going to, word today, bliss sounds good. I mean, you text me, it's extravagant today. I'm living it.
I fucking love it.
You know that misalignment before?
Yeah.
That's me. I just feel bliss. Why?
And I just love how real you keep, man. It's a big thing, especially in your space of like, whether it be life coaching, business coaching. A lot of people, just put on that shiny armor and like act it all. It's like you're still keeping it like, I'm having a laugh. Yeah, I have shit days and this is what it is. Or like even, for an example, as you said, like we're just sitting in an apartment now. You said, this is me. I've unpacked my bag. Let's have a chat. And it's like, you don't have to be like, oh, no, I haven't got my watch on, or I'm not wearing my suit. It's like, it's the guy who's doing what he loves and wants to put that good energy out there.
And you don't care. I don't need to. I'm gonna, hey, go and get my gold tag, or let's go and do it in a Porsche or the Ferrari or something. Whatever it is, do you. And if it's walking your dog down the beach, and that is the way you want to live, how could you do it to a level where you're getting money into your account? So you walk down the beach and you're not going, I need to be at a place. I need that. You just walk down and you might just have a coffee. And you might have $1 million in your account, $10 million. You might have $500, but you're content and happy. As long as you're not in a position, because people say that they're okay. Remember, chaos. I'm okay, but now they've got no money in their account. How are you gonna? Is the rent? Have you got your rent? Jeff. And I'm waiting for work. Hasn't paid me yet. You're lying to yourself. You're lying to that person, and you'll sit internally unwell with yourself. that dis-ease causes disease. So, you know,
Wow.
allowing yourself to understand that vulnerability is strength and saying, what can I do to plug the gaps that I don't have? And it's a different mentality. It creates a better reality for every single person out there. That's the thing. Most people won't do that. Very hard to do. And it starts, you've got the opportunity. We've got a great opportunity, social media. Just drop it out there and say, I'm feeling like shit today, but you know what? I'm going to give it my best crack. And my best crack is just today, guys, I looked in the mirror and said, fuck, you know what? It's not your best day, but I love you still. That's it. That's as simple as it can get. And then it gets into, you asked about those versions, 10 steps towards, you want to start a business? What's the first 10 steps? You don't know? Time to get yourself a mentor. And listen and learn from that mentor. That was something my grandmother taught me. Listen and learn as much as you can. I didn't listen and learn. It cost me 20 years of jail because I thought I was too good. I fucking knew it all. My ego got in the way. And all of a sudden, if I had done that and listened to my grandmother, I wouldn't have done that 20 years. Listen and learn. What's respect for our culture? You reckon respect for our Aboriginal culture is going and getting your badge of honour and locked up? That's what it used to be. I'm here to say, fuck that. I don't want that for us or our people. Not only for that, for anyone.
Yep.
I don't want you to live as a prisoner in your own mindset. What's your greatest life look like? Let's go and create that. And I'll help you step into that every single day of the week. That's magic.
Yep.
You know, and that's priceless. How much is that worth to anybody out there? Wow. Priceless. Can't put a money
I just thought of this just then. It's like, it's really cool to see this. Like, I asked you before, what was the most amount you made from a job? And it was going to be 80 grand or thereabouts. And it's like, now you're in a position where you've worked your fucking ass off and you probably laugh at 80 grand, which is fucking fantastic. And it's like, to go from like what was so much money from doing something so bad, so illegal, and now you're trying to just pull yourself and run away from that sort of thing. And like, it's so possible. And the money is like quadruple and triple. And it's like, I feel like that's a big message in itself, but it's like, it's not the answer, because people look at the quick dime and don't look at the consequences behind it.
Think about it, everything at the highest level. PT, what could you do as a nutrition program? What could you do as a mindset program? What could you do as an online community? Could you do and create a course that the fitness industry uses? You get 20 people through that course in a weekend. As you know, I've done it, you've done it. 2 grand for each person, times 10, 20 grand, times 20, 40 grand. Create that course. Go out and do it. That's what if you were my client, I'd say, what are we creating? What are you good at? Let's create the course. And not only just surface level, go so deep on each of those components or elements of that business. They go, have you done his course? Fucking unbelievable. And they'll talk for you. So even people, I didn't have
referrals.
A lot of people say to me, Morgs, you know what I love about you? You don't have to tell people who you were. People will tell it for you. And that same mentality I took into life, business, relationships.
It's energy sales.
100%, like, it's organic, right? So they go, oh, go to so-and-so for real estate, go to so-and-so for PT. All of a sudden, that becomes a different conversation. You don't have to sell nothing. They know that they're going to get that result. And instead of doing it for 20 years, it takes 2 minutes. 100%. Makes sense? And what's that worth? To compress time. Time's the greatest gift you get on this planet.
Biggest asset. Can't get it back.
But people don't realise that. And that's why a coach is important. Don't get a coach if you're not going to listen and learn from that coach and apply the information that you get. Knowledge isn't power without application. So people go, knowledge is power. Bullshit. Knowledge is everywhere. It's all over the internet. How do I make $1 million using $0, with $0?
Yep.
Type that into YouTube, you get 1 million ideas, but no one will follow through with it. They'll follow through 5%, and then they go, oh, this is shit, it's not working.
Doesn't work.
Well, it's not going to work in 5 minutes, brother. Take your time and commit to your life. If that's your passion around changing lives, help healthier bodies, do it at its highest level, and that's what I'd say to you. Create a foundation, create a course. What could you do for weekends? One of the biggest things in PT I'd hold weekends. Every weekend, how to deadlift on a Saturday morning. And I'd get 20 people through that thing every weekend, charge them $50. Then I'd get PT clients that, I don't know what I'm doing. Do you have any PT slots? So I did that every single weekend, and people used to say, how do you get clients? Trainers that would watch me do it. And I'm like, yeah, what are you watching? Are you blind or something? I'm doing it in front of you. And I'd say to them, I'm doing this.
Well, doing the group fitness classes and getting everyone involved. And
100%. Find ways. And then think to yourself, am I exchanging time for money? Because PT, $250 an hour at that point in time, great money, burn out. you can only do it for so long. If I can make X amount of dollars in a year, 4 times a year, I run that course. It's $2,000 for each person over the weekend for your course around X, Y, Z, whatever you've created, your passion is. And now you get 20 in, 80 total over the whole period of time, times 2, 160 grand business a year just off four weekends.
Yeah.
You get my drift? So that's how I'm thinking at this point in time within my life. Why wouldn't I deserve that when I have that value and knowledge and experience to compress time for you and make your business of high value to someone on the other side of it?
You know what I love about that? It's just the perfect, because some people, when they delve into egos and you know, soul searching and all that sort of stuff, they tend to pull away from the money side of things. And that's actually what I love about what you've, I guess this whole episode, what you've been sort of saying is, you know, although it's not the answer, it's sort of, you know, it is important to obtain what you are wanting individually.
You've got to ask yourself, what's money for?
Correct. Yeah.
Pay your bills? And like, is that, if you're, we'll tell ourselves we're comfortable with that. Yeah, I pay my bill and my family's going to be all right. I'll sacrifice getting my hair done as a female. I'll sacrifice going overseas. I'll sacrifice, I wanted to go watch the footy with my best mate.
Yeah.
So my family could do well. What if you became a great leader within your family and taught your child to do the same thing? Not only that, but I had that value and I get so much money into my account and we're traveling and we're loving life, and now I teach that to my daughter who teaches my son, her son who teaches generation on generation. And that's where we focus on you. I'll fix you, brother, and I'm going to fix you. This is what you should do.
And just spreads.
Just fix it. Not fix yourself. Work on yourself, and organically, they say 138 people are affected by a suicide. Imagine if you did it the opposite way, and I did really well, and I'm in your proximity. Proximity is power, and now you've got that information. I'm a millionaire. I'll teach you how I did it. If you want to follow through the pathway, more than likely you're going to become a millionaire, or you get a body, or live a peaceful life, or whatever it is that person's actually passing on to yourself.
I couldn't agree more with the whole thing. It's like, yeah, like money, again, it's not like the be all and end all, but it's like, again, it allows you, it's a vessel for freedom. It allows you to buy the nice car, or if you just, you know, go for dinner and not look at the price tag. Things like that, or like, you know, even small things that we cop from our friends sometimes, they look at us and they go, why do you guys get haircuts every week? That's such a waste of money. Because I work fucking hard, and me spending that extra $50 a week it's not going to kill me. I can still pay my bills. I'm having fun. It's a luxury. Yes, it is a luxury. If I was earning $10 an hour or $15 an hour, I probably wouldn't. But it makes me feel good. It's a life I want to live. I always want to look nice and fresh. If I want to go out in public,
Have to look good for work.
Exactly right.
Love that.
Whatever it might be.
I agree.
But some people look at us and go, fuck, that's such a waste of money. You know, go once a month. Go every 3 weeks. It's like,
But that's built on their values, and are
Exactly
you living
right.
their life,
Exactly
and are they
right.
paying your bills?
no.
Just
So
like
our
even
value
us
is looking good, feeling good, presenting ourselves well. Again, when you come into a room looking, imagine if you had your hair all scruffy or whatever. It's like, oh, Jeff, what's wrong with Jeff? He's coming in, he's fresh, he's shaved, he's look good, he's dressed nice. It's, again, it's that energy you bring into a room. It looks good, it's presence. So I could not hold that to a high enough standard.
It's and it's up to you. You can tell yourself money's not important, and just don't cry about not going to Europe then. And during the winter here, I wish I was there. I see it all the time. Oh, Morgs, I wish I was there. I go, my first question to him, man, it's not me being a prick. I'm saying, why can't you be here? And they go, oh, I don't earn enough money. I said, so
What are you doing to make?
How old are you now? And they go, I'm 32. And I go, so 32, you're not making enough money, and you don't. Do you love your job? Yeah, I love it. I said, so would you change it? No, not really, because I'm comfortable with it. So when do you reckon you'd get to Italy? Because you told me you wanted to get here. And they go, probably never. I've just had a realisation. And I go, so do you want to? So if I could change that, would you like to come here? And they go, fuck yeah. And I'm like, well, let's talk about those gaps I spoke about before and put some super glue between those so they bring it together. And that's where people
comfort kills everything,
the
man.
chaos. So I just go,
So
wish I could cut my hair weekly. You can. You just don't want
stopping
to.
it, yeah.
And my clients, they book business class flights, right? And they go, I'm booking my first business class flight. And it's not about the business class. It's about the fact that when you can do that, like you said, you can tap, and I don't have to look at my bank account. And it's not a big head thing. It's not a flex thing. It's a thing that says, I have financial freedom to do what I want, when I want, with who I want, as much as I want.
Yep.
What if that's your kids? What if you could kick a football and not worry about knowing that your money's going into your account? And if I can do it, people do it in fashion, graphic design, PT, real estate, whatever it is. Create a site like real estate, Airbnb, whatever. Think beyond the box. Like real estate, I've got a million ideas in my head. I'm not even a real estate. Imagine if I was in that space. My head's constantly going like this. Why? Because I'm built that way. And if you aren't built that way, my advice is to get yourself around a mentor, listen, learn, and you'll earn as much as you possibly can. Then application becomes your best friend. It's not mine. I'll keep you disciplined. I'll keep you accountable during the journey. But you've got to show up to that every single day. And you've got to show up on the days that you don't want to show up. That's the hardest thing. Mike Tyson says it all the time. And it's just about when no one's looking, what will you do?
Yep.
Will you snooze and lose? We were locked in for 2 years. I grinded hard. 5,000 resources I created.
Sink or swim.
5,000 resources. I went out and I just grinded like no tomorrow, and I put them into the program. People are like, mate, I could go forever and it's endless. And I'm like, people were telling me, have you seen this Netflix series? Didn't care. It wasn't my journey to buy back those supermarkets. They didn't know that my community went through that. They didn't know my brother and sister died, and I had that in my head that I don't want your family to go through the same thing or somebody else's family. I don't want some kid not to feel loved or mattered or cared for, and I want the community to understand the whole conversation, not the one lock them up and throw away the key conversation. How do we help a kid who hasn't had the role modeling to make a better choice? Because if we don't do it, they might slam a car into our family's car. What's that going to be worth for me to be able to do that? So that whole journey through that 2 years, I was just on the grind. And, mate, I think I watched 2 movies in that whole time. Everyone was watching back-to-back series.
Yeah, literally.
And then they say to me, oh, Morgs, I wish I had that car. It's through that envy that crushes your dreams, your goals, your aspirations. I'm like, what do you dream of? What do you want to do with your life? Where do you want to travel to? And you see the life come into it. I want to go to wherever it is, right? It's just breathe. That breath of life goes into themselves because we're speaking about it. We've gone from subconscious. I'll go back to that question.
Bringing it to life.
How long you been thinking about it? 38 years. When's it going to happen? And it's not going to happen. Yeah. And then when you say, what about here's the first step? So you take subconscious, conscious, write it out. I'm going to go to Italy. How much does that cost? Flights. And it could be economy. That's cool too, right? I'll go here. I'll stay in an Airbnb. That cost me $20 a night. I just want to see another country. I'm cool with that for now. And then you can live the greatest version of yourself at that point in your life and just slowly
build on it.
0.1% better every single day.
Yeah.
That was fucking fantastic.
That was phenomenal.
I could not, for all of our viewers, I could not recommend listening to this on repeat enough. For whether you're struggling financially, you feel like you're stuck, you want to grow, you just need some clarity on some things, I feel like this is a really, really good starting point. Jeffrey, Sal, thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much
for having us. Thank you for providing so much value, for being vulnerable, for opening up the good, the bad, the ugly, the bright, the future, where you want to go. It's absolutely been an absolute pleasure to have this conversation with you. And for those of you listening, if you're not already, jump on the program, follow him, all socials. He's doing great things. Jeff.
Amazing things.
Jeffrey Morgs. Brother, thank you so fucking much. This is absolutely amazing.
Thanks for coming, brother. You ain't anybody until you are you. You ain't anybody until you are you.
Wow. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
what a
Jeffrey.
lovely note to wrap up on.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.